Welcome back to Offroad Outlaws, y'all, and in this video, we're actually making a follow-up to a bunch of the comments that I received on one of my recent YouTube shorts. Now, I did a YouTube short that was basically a tour of half of my garage, because a lot of y'all requested a garage tour, and a garage tour in Offroad Outlaws is kind of an odd thing because it's not long enough to do a full video on, but it's also too long for a YouTube short, and so what I decided to do was chop it up and do the first half of the garage in one short, and I'll do the second half of the garage in another short. Now, what I asked y'all to do was I asked y'all to let me know in the comments what vehicle number y'all would like to see a breakdown of, a build of, and, you know, things like that. And so well, I wouldn't say quite overwhelmingly because there were some others that were close, but what was definitely in the lead was the car I'm about to show you. Not this, though. Not my F450. It's a nice truck. It's a sick truck. It's a great, super reliable, clean tow rig, but the car that seemed to, or rather vehicle, it was a car, that got the most requests for a build breakdown and, you know, a drive and essentially kind of a show and tell of what the vehicle was all about was this. Now, when I say I had a ton of requests to do a deep dive into this thing, I mean it. I had a massive amount of requests. And by the way, thank you to every single one of you that asked me. That's huge. And I will be going through many more of your suggestions very, very soon. But this thing on the trailer right here is going to be the subject of this video because it was one of the most, if not the most, highly requested. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it out for a quick drive, and then I'm going to bring it back to the garage and do a full breakdown of the build. I'm going to show you all the tire sizes, the tuning, the gear ratios. We're going to do a breakdown of the paint job and the modifications, all that good stuff. But first, we got to take it out and take it for a drive. And if you don't want to see the drive and you want to skip right ahead to the tune, I will go ahead and put a timestamp on the screen right now so that just in case you want to skip right ahead to that, you totally can. Now, let's go ahead and jump into one of my personal favorite maps. We're going to go ahead and turn on a couple of things, not too much, nothing that's going to affect the grip, nothing that's going to affect the drivability of the car. We're going to go on out to Twin Rivers Lake because it is a very reliable map in terms of loading and in terms of, like, not crashing on you. There are some maps in the game that load fine every time, and there are other maps in the game that just randomly crash for no apparent reason. And that's not to say any of the maps that crash sometimes are bad. That's just to say that they do that sometimes, and sometimes it varies from one device to another. Like, some maps crash more on, like, Apple devices, and other maps crash more on Android devices, and it's kind of like a, you know, mixed bag mishmash of whatever the heck is gonna happen that day. Mobile games are strange. But with all of that being said, here's the setup. And I gotta say, it actually genuinely looks like something that you would see pulling up to like a drag strip or a car show in the real world. It looks pretty sick. So let's head on out to the main road out here. And I know that this map isn't necessarily a racing map. It's not a drag strip map. It's not really anything like that, but it's not really a big deal because we can kind of make that that main street a very usable drag strip, and I've done that before in multiplayer lobbies, and it's worked really, really well. So I haven't actually driven that car in a very, very long time, though, so there could be some gremlins in it here and there, and if it doesn't perform perfectly, that's probably why. I was probably still working on it, because I know I have messed around with the setup on this car multiple times, because obviously it's on a drag setup right now, but I think in the past I've done a Baja setup on it, I've done like a general purpose off-road setup on it, I've done a pretty good variety of setups on this car actually. So we're gonna go ahead and pull on into this little parking lot over here and just get properly parked up. Well, properly-ish. As properly as you can in Offroad Outlaws. I'm not necessarily trying to be ultra-realistic, but realistic enough. All right, let's go ahead and detach the trailer. And now we get to swap cars, and we get to take this thing for a drive. It sounds incredible, by the way. All right, oh my God, it's got so much grip. It's literally forcing the trailer backwards. Oh my God, I'm just trying to tap the throttle to get it to just barely move, and it smokes the tires. Jeez, okay. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up over here, and like right before the road actually starts to turn, so let me turn around, and I'll show you all the speedometer, And we'll make a quick little run down Main Street here and see what this thing can do. We'll take this right-hand lane, bring up the speedometer. 3, 2, well, first of all, first run is going to be no nitrous. Second run is going to be with nitrous. 3, 2, 1, go! Oh my god! Oh, wow. Okay, before the turn, it was doing over 120. That is wild. There are some other vehicles that'll do that, but not a lot, not many. And I love the way it actually, like, properly loads up the suspension in the back when you take off. I'm going to try to line up in relatively the same place. It's not going to be pinpoint accurate, but, you know, I don't think there's a ton of things in Offroad Outlaws that are perfectly pinpoint accurate, so right about here is good enough. This time with nitrous. 3, 2, 1, send it! Holy, oh my god! 167 miles an hour. Okay, well, that's a thing. And now it's time to head on back to the yard and take y'all through the tuning, the modifications, and the paint job. So now we're back in the yard, and it's time to break this thing down. So we're going to start with the customization, then we're going to move to the upgrades, and then we're going to move to the tuning. And I should probably go ahead and get the upgrades out of the way first, because it's simple. Maximum. All the things. Maximum, all the things, everything, and turbo, not supercharger on this build. So now that that's done and over with and out of the way, now let's go into the customization and then we'll go over to the tuning. Customization-wise, really, really simple. I believe it's a gloss red. This is going to be your exact replica options for the gloss red. Let's see. I haven't done any of the horns on it because I haven't touched this thing since the latest update. Wheels-wise, it is this option that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from the right, and they're just matte black. Same in the back. It is very simple in terms of the actual customization. Now, front bumper-wise, it's the second option. Rear bumper-wise, it's the delete, which is the third option. Nothing for side steps, nothing for lights. And then it is the second option for the wing, or rather the spoiler, kind of like the ducktail. And then nothing for cage. And fender options-wise, nothing there. And let's see, you can do a couple of hood options. I didn't. Let's see, why did we bring the spoiler back up? Oh, that's a double option. No idea why that is. Okay, exhaust-wise, all the way to the right, and then nothing for windshield protection, nothing for front lighting. I did do, actually, I want to switch those out for the white HIDs because those look better. Nothing for high lift jack. I should have, yeah, I've got a repair pack in the back, and then the standard mirrors. Now, let's see. From here, really all you got to do is if you want to replicate the TC Customs little side banner, you can by doing basically gray and white TC Customs logos across the side and just layer one on top of the other and then slightly offset it and you're good to go. So let's go ahead and exit that area now. Again, very simple setup in terms of customization parts. The tuning is where it will get a little more interesting. Suspension-wise, now in the front we are running a standard solid axle non-heavy duty. In the rear, we're running a standard solid axle non-heavy duty, nothing too crazy. Suspension tuning, axis width in the front, 0.02. We're going to do all of the front and then all of the rear, just so y'all know. Axis width in the front, 0.02. Damping, 3025. Leaf spring mount height, 0.02. Shocks, 0. Size, 1.0. Spring brackets, upper mount, 1. Stiffness, 11,770. And travel, 0.21. Switching to the rear now, we've got axis width, 0.01. Damping, 2988. Leaf spring mount height, 0.02. Rear steer, none. Shocks, 0. Shock size, 1.0. Spring brackets, upper mount, 1. And stiffness, 11,681. And travel, 0.28. Now, moving over to wheels and tires. Everything in the front first. Wheel size, 1.2. Wheel radius in the front is going to be 0.7, and wheel width in the front is going to be 0.8. In the rear, we've got a rim size of 1.2, a wheel radius of 0.9, and a wheel width of 1.3. Now, moving over once again to gear tuning, we've got stage 5 upgraded gearing, First gear is 3.2, second gear is 2.0, third gear is, if the game unfreezes, 1.5, fourth gear is 1.1, and fifth gear is 0.9, and low gear is untouched. Now, dyno-wise, I'll go ahead and give y'all a quick dyno run so y'all can see what it makes if the game decides to unfreeze. Please and thank you. It is running a perfect setup as well. And it makes 1,410 horsepower and 1,058 foot-pounds of torque max, which is not bad by any means whatsoever. We're not going to do the VR test rig or the Flex because it's not necessarily built for off-road. At least this setup is not necessarily built for off-road. But that is pretty much a full setup breakdown of everything that goes into this car. And like I said, this was one of the most, if not the most highly requested build breakdowns of the entire first half of the garage tour. So if y'all enjoyed this video and you would like to see more like this one on different vehicles, let me know which vehicles you would like to see build breakdowns of, and if there's anything else that you would like to see in Offroad Outlaws, please leave your thoughts and opinions and suggestions in the comments down below, and I will see y'all next time. Talk to y'all later, and I hope y'all enjoyed.